we're going to see a river.
Deuce. Stewie wins the tournament.
Poker isn't just about those massive wins and life-changing pots. It's about maintaining that success. For these 10 poker legends, staying at the top proved harder than anticipated. Each of them once had it all: millions in winnings, championship titles, and the respect of the entire poker world. But through a mix of risky decisions, high-rolling lifestyles, and streaks of bad luck, they went from living the dream to watching it slip through their fingers. Let's dive into the jaw-dropping downfalls of these poker icons and uncover how they fell from fame to financial ruin. Gavin Griffin, the rise and fall of poker's young prodigy. Gavin Griffin's journey in poker is the perfect example of a meteoric rise and a hard fall. In 2004, he became a poker sensation by winning his first WSOP bracelet at just 22, setting a record as the youngest player to achieve this feat. But Gavin didn't stop there. With a series of remarkable wins, he added titles from both the European Poker Tour and World Poker Tour to his resume, making him the first player ever to clinch victories in all 3 major poker tours. In the eyes of fans and players alike, Gavin seemed destined to dominate the poker world for years to come, with millions in earnings and a solid reputation as one of the game's brightest young stars. But with success came pressure. Gavin's star power led to massive expectations, not only from the poker world, but also from himself. During the height of his career, he embraced the high-flying lifestyle that often accompanies fame and fortune. He spent lavishly on expensive homes, flashy cars, and a lifestyle few could maintain. The poker boom of the early 20s provided seemingly endless cash flow, and like many players at the time, Gavin believed that the wins would keep coming. But when his results started to falter, so did his bankroll. The wins weren't as consistent, and the expenses kept piling up, eating away at the fortune he'd worked so hard to build. By early 2010, Gavin found himself grappling with the reality of a dwindling bankroll and no longer holding the edge that had once set him apart. The financial pressures mounted, and the high life he had once lived became unsustainable. Gradually, Gavin faded from the poker limelight, leaving fans to wonder what could have been. While he has since worked to rebuild his life outside the spotlight, his story remains a poignant example of how poker's highs can be followed by crushing lows. Gavin Griffin's journey is a lesson in how even the most promising careers can falter, and how quickly the game can change when luck and timing are no longer on your side. Chino Ream, a high-stakes gamble gone wrong. Chino Ream built a reputation as one of poker's most mysterious and talented high-stakes players. A regular in private, high-stakes cash games, Chino amassed a significant fortune in the underground poker scene, where stakes were colossal and the competition fierce. His success in the hidden, high-roller rooms made him a legend among insiders, though his name was less known outside elite poker circles. Chino's talent was undeniable, and his ability to thrive in these exclusive settings made him a player to be both admired and feared. But Chino's success came with a love for luxury. With his newfound wealth, he indulged in high-end cars, luxury vacations, and extravagant nightlife. The lifestyle suited his persona, but it also came at a cost. He began taking risks far beyond poker, venturing into high-stakes investments that he hoped would multiply his winnings. Unfortunately, these ventures didn't pay off, and several bad business decisions started to erode his fortune. In a desperate bid to reclaim his bankroll, Chino began pushing the limits in poker, taking bigger and riskier bets in an attempt to bounce back. As he scrambled to regain his footing, Chino found himself in a vicious cycle. His earnings couldn't keep up with his spending habits, and the intense competition in the high-stakes world grew fiercer, making it harder to score the kinds of wins he was used to. When his bankroll was nearly depleted, Chino attempted to make a comeback, relying on his skill to rebuild from the ground up. But the road back was steeper than expected. His rise and fall demonstrate that in poker's high-stakes landscape, fortunes can disappear as quickly as they're made. Enjoying the video so far? Make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Gus Hansen, the Great Dane's roller coaster fortune. Gus Hansen, famously known as the Great Dane, was a poker icon of the early 2000s, famous for his hyper-aggressive, unpredictable style. He took down multiple WPT titles and won nearly $11 million in tournament cash alone. Living the ultimate poker lifestyle, Gus traveled the world, competed at the highest stakes, and became one of the most recognizable faces in poker. But Gus's all-or-nothing approach extended beyond the felt, where his love for action became as legendary as his poker skills. Hansen's downfall was a slow burn across years of intense cash game losses, particularly online. His style, which thrived in live tournaments, became a liability in high-stakes online games where swings could be devastating. As he dove into the world of online poker, Gus experienced unprecedented losses, especially on full tilt poker, with millions slipping away before the site collapsed in the Black Friday scandal. By 2015, reports emerged that Gus had lost more than $20 million in online play alone. Though he still makes the occasional appearance, Hansen's story is a sobering lesson about how even the most fearless can hit a wall in poker's high-stakes arena. Scotty Wynn, a high life with a heavy price. Scotty Wynn, known to fans as the Prince of Poker, embodied the glitzy, larger-than-life spirit of poker's golden era. With his bold personality, unforgettable quips, and magnetic charm, Scotty captivated audiences around the world. He had a way of making poker feel larger than life, whether he was dishing out witty trash talk or pulling off incredible plays. His 1998 WSOP main event win, where he famously told his opponent, "You call, it's gonna be all over, baby," before winning, cemented his place in poker lore. With millions in tournament winnings and a global fan base, it seemed Scotty had it all. But with fame came temptation, and Scotty's journey took a dark turn as the pressures of success caught up with him. Living large and embracing the nightlife, Scotty began indulging in heavy drinking and high-stakes gambling. What started as celebrations of his wins soon became habits that controlled his life. The same vibrant personality that made him a star was now driving his downfall. His behavior reached a breaking point at the 2008 WSOP 50K Horse Championship, where his drunken antics shocked fans and tarnished his reputation. While he managed to win the prestigious title, his erratic behavior overshadowed his success, with fans witnessing a poker hero battling his own demons. As his addiction deepened, Scotty's career and finances took a serious hit. The partying and gambling that once seemed manageable began to drain his bankroll, and his lavish lifestyle became harder to maintain. His struggles with alcohol and reckless spending turned into a vicious cycle that eroded both his wealth and his legacy. Over the years, Scotty has worked to regain control, openly discussing his past struggles and making efforts to rebuild his career. While he continues to play and remains a beloved figure in the poker community, his story is a reminder of the darker side of fame. Scotty Wynn's journey shows how poker's highs can quickly lead to painful lows, illustrating the dangers of letting success take control. Stu Ungar, the tragic fall of poker's genius. Stu Ungar's life was one of brilliance and tragedy, his story marked by an extraordinary talent and a heartbreaking end. Often hailed as one of the greatest minds to ever play the game, Stu's skills were nothing short of legendary. A three-time WSOP main event champion, he had an uncanny ability to read opponents and calculate odds with precision that seemed almost supernatural. In both poker and gin rummy, he was a master, feared and respected by anyone who sat across the table from him. But behind Stu's unparalleled skill lay personal demons that would ultimately destroy him. Stu's downfall was fueled by a powerful addiction to drugs, particularly cocaine, which consumed him despite his poker success. His winnings, which totaled millions, disappeared just as quickly as they came, often fueling his addiction. He would rise to the top only to lose everything to his vices. Despite numerous attempts to get clean and reclaim his former glory, his addiction held a relentless grip. Even his triumphant 1997 WSOP main event win, a comeback victory that brought him a third title and the admiration of the poker world, was overshadowed by his worsening health and struggles with drugs. Stu was a shell of the prodigy he had once been, and his victory, while remarkable, felt like a bittersweet reminder of what he could have achieved if not for his addiction. In 1998, Stu Ungar's life came to a tragic end when he was found dead in a cheap Las Vegas motel room, alone and nearly penniless. The poker genius who once mesmerized audiences and dominated tables had been reduced to a tragic figure, overtaken by his inner battles. Stu's story remains one of poker's most heartbreaking tales, illustrating that even the most exceptional talent can't shield someone from life's darker struggles. Today, Stu Ungar is remembered not only as one of the game's greatest players, but also as a cautionary tale, a reminder that the brightest lights can cast the darkest shadows. Brad Yukon Booth, the freewheeling high-stakes player's downfall. Brad Yukon Booth was a fearless high-stakes legend during the height of poker's mid-2000s boom, known for his wild aggression and unbreakable confidence. With a reputation as a gutsy, go-big-or-go-home player, Booth was a staple in some of the highest-stakes games in the world. In one of his most memorable moments on high-stakes poker, he famously sat down across from Phil Ivey with a stack of $1 million in cash, ready to play. His boldness captivated fans, and his reputation as a poker daredevil grew. Booth's talent and willingness to take massive risks set him apart, and he seemed destined to join the ranks of poker's greats. But Booth's aggressive style extended beyond the poker table, and his high-stakes lifestyle soon caught up with him. As the poker boom started to wane, his fortunes began to turn. In high-stakes cash games, even the most skilled players can experience crushing swings, and Booth's all-in approach made him especially vulnerable to downturns. The once invincible player began facing devastating losses, and his bankroll took hit after hit. But Booth's troubles didn't end there. He fell victim to the notorious ultimate bet cheating scandal, losing millions to players who had access to his hole cards. This loss was a severe blow, pushing Booth into financial turmoil and shaking his trust in the game he loved. With his bankroll depleted, Booth found himself on a downward spiral. By 2012, he made headlines again, not for a high-stakes win, but for the revelation that he was living out of his car, a stark contrast to his former life of luxury and high-rolling adventures. The man who once played with $1 million in front of him was now struggling to make ends meet. Brad Booth's fall from grace is a somber reminder of the dangers of an unchecked high-stakes lifestyle. His journey underscores that in poker, as in life, success can vanish in an instant if risks aren't managed wisely. Booth's story remains a powerful lesson on the volatile nature of high-stakes poker, where fortunes can be won and lost overnight. Jamie Gold, a one-time win with lasting consequences. In 2006, Jamie Gold exploded onto the poker scene with one of the most unforgettable runs in WSOP history. Known for his fearless table talk and mind games, Jamie used every psychological trick in the book to dismantle his opponents on his way to the main event title. His strategy wasn't just about the cards, it was about getting inside his opponents' heads, creating doubt, and seizing the moment with unyielding confidence. By the time the dust settled, Jamie walked away with an unprecedented $12 million prize, the largest in WSOP history at the time. For a brief moment, he was poker's golden boy. But Jamie's victory came with a complicated aftermath. Soon after his win, he was hit with a lawsuit from his former business associate, Crispin Laser. Laser claimed that he had made a deal with Jamie to split the winnings if either of them won. The lawsuit quickly turned into a high-profile legal battle, capturing headlines and casting a shadow over Jamie's achievement. Although the case was eventually settled out of court, Jamie was forced to part with a substantial portion of his prize, diminishing his legendary payday. This legal dispute was just the beginning of Jamie's post-WSOP challenges. The fame and fortune that followed his win proved fleeting as his poker results failed to replicate his main event success. He became known as a one-hit wonder, a player who achieved the pinnacle of poker glory but could never reclaim it. Outside the poker world, Jamie reportedly made a series of poor investments and struggled to manage the remaining portion of his prize money effectively. His fortune began to dwindle, and he largely faded from the spotlight. Today, Jamie occasionally appears in charity poker events or on poker streams, but his days as a poker superstar are long gone. His story is a powerful reminder that a single life-changing win doesn't always guarantee lasting success. For Jamie Gold, that historic moment at the WSOP remains a bittersweet legacy, a victory that brought both fame and financial trouble, showing the world that even the largest windfalls can slip away in an instant. Eric Lindgren. From poker prodigy to financial crisis. Eric E-Dog Lindgren was the embodiment of poker's rise in the early 2000s, a brash young player who combined skill, charm, and aggressive play to become one of poker's most celebrated stars. With a natural talent and charisma, Lindgren took down titles left and right, including a WPT victory and 2 WSOP bracelets. As one of the original members of the Full Tilt Poker roster, he gained the coveted sponsorship that gave him fame, fortune, and a platform on televised poker. To the outside world, Lindgren appeared unstoppable. Yet behind the scenes, Lindgren's life was spiraling into debt. His addiction to high-stakes sports betting became a private battle that ate away at his wealth despite his poker winnings. Known for placing large wagers and constantly chasing his losses, Lindgren's gambling debts continued to pile up. Often he borrowed money from fellow players to stay afloat, creating a web of financial obligations that would ultimately catch up with him. The collapse of Full Tilt Poker in 2011, triggered by the infamous Black Friday scandal, was the final blow to Lindgren's fortune. When the site shut down, Eric, like many pros, lost millions tied up in sponsorships and unclaimed earnings. His financial troubles went public in 2012 when he filed for bankruptcy, revealing debts of over $10 million. This revelation shocked the poker community and marked a drastic fall from grace for the once celebrated star. Despite attempts at rehabilitation and efforts to address his gambling issues, Lindgren's journey back to stability has been a long and challenging one. He remains a poignant example of how addiction and unchecked spending can dismantle even the most successful careers. Eric Lindgren's story reminds poker players and fans alike of the fine line between fortune and failure in high-stakes poker. Ted Forrest, the ultimate grinder's financial descent. Ted Forrest has long been regarded as one of poker's most talented and tenacious players, a true grinder with a deep love for the game. Over the years, he amassed an impressive 6 WSOP bracelets and built a legacy as one of poker's most dedicated competitors. Known for his relentless work ethic and quiet confidence, Forrest was a feared opponent at both cash tables and tournaments. But even for a player of his caliber, poker's peaks and valleys proved challenging to navigate. Forrest's financial troubles came to light in a surprising twist that left fans and fellow players alike stunned. Despite his impressive career earnings, Forrest found himself in debt, reportedly borrowing heavily from other players. Rumors swirled that his sports betting losses were far larger than he'd let on, draining his bankroll and leaving him vulnerable to financial instability. In 2015, Forrest's financial issues became a public spectacle when he filed a lawsuit against billionaire Andy Beal, claiming that Beal owed him $1.8 million from a high-stakes poker game. The case was eventually dismissed, and with it, any hope of recovering the money Forrest believed he was owed. This legal battle underscored the precariousness of his financial situation and showed how quickly fortunes could change, even for a legend like Ted. Today, Ted Forrest remains active in the poker world, though his financial challenges continue to cast a shadow over his legacy. His story serves as a reminder that even in a game built on resilience and grit, financial pitfalls can affect anyone. David Benjamin, the high-stakes roller with high-stakes problems. David Benjamin was a feared competitor during poker's peak, dominating high-stakes cash games with an unflappable demeanor. But David's love for gambling extended beyond poker to high-stakes sports betting. The thrill of betting on sports led to significant losses, and his back issues limited his time on the felt, impacting his earnings. Rumors swirled that David's bankroll had taken a serious hit by 2008, forcing him to play smaller games to recover. Though he still competes, his days as a high-stakes regular seem distant, underscoring how even poker legends can face ruin. These stories remind us that no matter how much skill or talent a player may have, poker's roller coaster highs and lows can be ruthless. Winning big doesn't always mean keeping it. Thanks for watching, and to stay up to date with all the sickest suckouts, latest poker scandals, and most epic wins, make sure to like and subscribe.